Hey my friend, come sit with me for a minute. Have you ever had one of those nights? I'm talking about the 3 a.m. kind, where the world is dead quiet, but your mind is screaming. The ceiling fan just whirs, and you're lying there, staring into the dark. But what you're really seeing is this blinding, chaotic highlight reel of everything you have to do tomorrow. That big presentation at work, the one that feels like your whole career is riding on it. The rent check that's due, and you've counted the numbers 100 times. That difficult conversation you need to have with someone you love, and your heart just sinks thinking about it. For years, I was the undisputed champion of these 3 a.m. planning sessions. I told myself I was being responsible, that I was getting ahead of the game. But I recently discovered something that completely flipped my world upside down. All that anxious planning, all that obsessive strategizing. It was actually the very thing holding me back from the future I so desperately wanted. Sounds crazy, right? But stick with me here, because once I tell you what I learned, you'll see the prison you've been living in, and I promise, you'll never look at that ceiling the same way again. If any of this is starting to sound familiar, do me a favor and hit that like button and subscribe, because we're going on a journey together. And I'd love for you to drop a 777 or I resonate with this in the comments. If you've been there too, it helps all of us know we're not alone in this. You know, there's this weird little trick the mind plays on us, and for the longest time, I fell for it. Hook, line, and sinker. I thought I was just thinking about the future, but what I was really doing was dangling my own happiness in front of me, like a carrot on a stick. My peace, my joy, my entire sense of self-worth, it was all conditional, completely dependent on things that hadn't even happened yet. I had created this ghost, this perfect phantom version of myself I called Future Me. And let me tell you, Future Me was a superstar. He was calmer, he was fitter, he had more money in the bank, and he definitely had his love life all figured out. He was this golden, crowned figure, and then there was just, well, me. The me in the present moment. And compared to him, I always felt like I was failing. It created this painful split right down the middle of my soul. My actual life started to feel like a punishment, a dreary waiting room I had to sit in before the real show started. I remember forcing myself to eat salads that tasted like disappointment, not because I wanted to nourish my body, but because I was punishing it for not being the body Future Me had. I dragged myself to a job that felt like it was siphoning the color from my world, not for the love of the work, but because I was sacrificing my present joy for some imaginary future security. It was like I had put my own life on hold, waiting for this ghost to give me permission to finally be happy. And that, my friend, is the very essence of planning from a place of anxiety. It's living on a low-frequency vibration that constantly hums this awful lie in the background. You are not good enough yet. I want you to try something. Right now, think about one of your biggest goals, and just pay attention to your body. How does it feel? Is there a lightness, a spark of excitement in your chest, a feeling of adventurous energy pulling you forward? Or is there a tightness, a knot in your stomach, a subtle, cold dread? Honestly, for most of my life, it was always the latter. It took me so long to understand why. When we plan from that anxious place, we're basically rejecting ourselves. We're at war with where we are right now. Every action we take isn't coming from a place of inspiration. It's a desperate attempt to run away from the present moment. And that kind of energy, that frantic, fearful pushing, fording, it's like trying to grab water. The harder you squeeze, the faster it slips through your fingers. It's a vibration that, ironically, pushes away the very things we're chasing. But then, one day, something shifted. It wasn't a lightning bolt, more like a quiet dawn breaking inside me. I started to wonder, what would it feel like to plan from a place of love, of divine alignment with myself, right here, right now? So I tried it. I started choosing food that made my body feel good today, not as a punishment, but as an act of cherish. When that warm, nutty aroma of my morning coffee filled the kitchen, I let myself truly enjoy it, feeling the warmth spread through me, instead of just gulping it down to fuel the hamster wheel. I started approaching my work with curiosity, finding little pockets of meaning in the process of growing and learning, instead of just seeing it as a means to an end. I started saving money not from a place of hoarding against a scary future, but as a gentle act of kindness to the man I would be tomorrow, creating a foundation of peace for him. Can you feel the difference in that? The actions on the outside look almost exactly the same, but the energy, the inner frequency, is from a completely different universe. One is a desperate sprint away from a life you can't stand. The other is a joyful, expansive dance with the life you have. And here's the secret that changed everything for me. This joyful, expansive way is the only one that actually creates a future worth living in. It's a subtle trap our minds set for us every single day. We build this flawless future self as a coping mechanism, a projection of all our hopes. We think it's a healthy North Star, a vision to guide us. And having a vision is beautiful, it's human, it's necessary. The trap isn't the dream itself, it's what we do next. We create this huge, painful gap between the me of today and the real me, who will supposedly arrive when all the boxes are checked. We start to despise the person we are right now for not already being that idealized version. And now, my friend, here's the truth that might sting a little at first, but I promise it will set you free. That perfect future self you're waiting for, he's never coming. He doesn't exist. Honestly, this realization hit me like a ton of bricks. Why isn't he coming? Because when tomorrow finally gets here, it doesn't feel like the future. It just feels like another right now. And if I haven't practiced the divine art of finding peace, wholeness, and contentment in the now that I'm in, I won't have a clue how to do it in any other now, no matter what my bank account or relationship status looks like. The consciousness that will experience that big success is the exact same consciousness you have right now. It has the same capacity for joy and the same capacity for suffering. So, my question to you is, why are you waiting? Why are you putting your own heart on layaway, waiting for an imaginary future to give you the permission slip to finally feel alive? This really gets to the heart of what the great philosopher Alan Watts was talking about. It's a hidden truth that, I swear, is the key to everything. The anxiety I used to feel, that gut-wrenching worry, it wasn't because I was planning. No, the anxiety came because I was making my happiness entirely dependent on those plans working out perfectly. When you start planning from a place of self-care and wisdom from the now, the whole experience changes. It becomes this beautiful, creative, energizing act. It feels like a painter joyfully sketching out a vision, loving the feel of the charcoal on the paper, delighting in the process itself. But when you plan from that desperate, anxious need for things to turn out a certain way, it's pure torture. Every step feels too small. Every unexpected detour feels like a personal failure, an attack on your very worth. You're not building a future anymore. You're just running for your life from the terror of your present. A wise man, Alan Watts, put words to what my soul was feeling. No work or love will flourish out of guilt, fear, or hollowness of heart. Just as no valid plans for the future can be made by those who have no capacity for living now. Every plan I made from fear was doomed from the start because it was built on the shaky foundation of my own insecurity. But it goes even deeper than that. I had to ask myself, what was I really, truly running from? Why do we do this to ourselves? Why do we mortgage our present happiness for a future that's not guaranteed? What is the deep, primal fear driving this? I think, for me, it was the fear that if I didn't hit all my goals, if I didn't get it all right, then I was fundamentally worthless. I was afraid that if I didn't control every variable, I'd be unsafe. I was terrified that if I just let go and relaxed for a second, I'd become lazy, mediocre, and that everything would fall apart. It's a fear of the great unknown. But here's the wild part, the thing the universe taught me. When you finally let go of that desperate need to control, a miracle happens. You actually become more effective, not less. You become more motivated, not less. You become more disciplined, not less. How on earth is that possible? It's because for the first time, you're operating from a place of love, not fear, from presence, not desperation. Think about it. When you're clinging desperately to one specific outcome, your vision narrows. You become rigid. You can't see the amazing opportunities popping up on your periphery because they don't fit into your tiny, pre-approved plan. But when you work on things you love, simply for the joy of it, you become fluid, you become creative, you become open, you work with more passion because you're not terrified of messing up. You take smarter risks because your soul knows your worth isn't on the table. You're guided by wisdom, not by the frantic energy of a drowning man. It's the first great paradox of life, my friend. The less you need your plans to work out, the more likely they are to blossom into something beautiful. And the second paradox is just as powerful. We burn so much life force trying to build this impenetrable fortress around our future, planning for every contingency, trying to make it all safe and predictable. But what we're really doing is building our own prison. The more we try to control the future, the more anxious we become. The more we need life to follow our script, the more shattered we are when it goes off book, which it always does. True security, the kind that settles deep in your bones, doesn't come from a perfect plan. It comes from trusting yourself to handle the beautiful, messy, unpredictable dance of life. It's not about getting rid of the uncertainty. It's about learning to waltz with it. When you stop needing the future to look a certain way, you're finally free to co-create with it. When you stop depending on your plans, you become flexible enough to ride the waves instead of being crushed by them. In this ever-changing world, the only real safety is in your ability to be present. This is the shift that changes everything. When you learn to find that deep, unshakable contentment in this very moment, planning transforms. It stops being a chore and becomes a creative joy. I still eat healthy, but now it feels like a love letter to my body, not a punishment. I still work toward my goals, but I do it because the journey of growth itself fills me with purpose, not because I'm trying to patch up a hole in my soul. I still save and prepare for the future, but it feels like a tender act of care, like packing a lunch for the future version of me, not like I'm running from the terror of today. The outward actions might not change much, but the inner world is completely different. One is a path to burnout, the other is a path to genuine, sustainable joy. It's not about choosing planning or presence. It's about a sacred integration of the two. Dream big, make your plans, but hold them with an open hand. Work toward your goals, but never, ever let your worth be tied to them. It takes real, gutsy courage to do this, my friend. It means accepting that you might fail. It means accepting that life is fundamentally uncertain. But here's the secret I want to leave you with. When you learn to be truly present, you realize that this moment, right here, exactly as it is, already contains everything you need to be whole. Not everything you want, but everything you need to feel alive, to feel aware, to feel at peace. The person who learns this doesn't run from the future. They walk toward it with a powerful, quiet confidence, because they know the quality of their tomorrow is born from the quality of their today. And the quality of today is born from the courage to simply be here, now. This is where your power is. Embrace it,